down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ibuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
Okay, 9:17 a.m. and I must say it's a beautiful morning. Okay, so it's a beautiful morning, and I must say thank you for always staying tuned to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. It's 17 minutes past 9 a.m., and we are glad to have you this very morning for us to talk about Nigeria, talk about development in the polity, talk about governance, and talk about politics. And we're glad to have you once more. It's a Thursday edition of this very program, the 26th day of February 2026. And I'm saying good morning. My name is Franklin Ebeka, and as usual, we have a complement of the team. I'm Chisom Chinedu. Good morning.
Good morning, Franklin. Good morning, Nigerians. And
Exactly.
I heard his with
Maybe
guilty as charged.
Maybe have something to
guilty
to
as
say.
charged. But you see, Franklin, I noticed that Nigerians are so used to, I don't know if it is the selfishness that we exhibit or the fact that we are so used to not being treated kindly. I noticed something, and I've been kind of keenly paying attention to it. And this morning again, it happened, and I felt the need to say this. Nigerians are used to having everyone in a hurry. That when someone trafficates on the road, he's surprised where the coming vehicle coming on the other lane pauses for him to, go whichever way he's going. And then there's the people behind are honking, and the person is like surprised. Now, me, you really stop for? You get the point. I don't know if it's because we have this mindset of, oh, let me rush past before he starts to make the turn. And everybody seems to be surprised that someone would really pause for traffic to actually have the actual flow. And this is me telling Nigerians, there is no big deal. I mean, is it like I said yesterday, it's even love for your neighbor and love for yourself. I mean, I love myself. I don't need to be in that hurry. What if I get into something because I'm trying to hurry past because you want to make a turn, right? So do yourself the honor and do your neighbor the honor of being patient enough. Wait for them. It doesn't even take a second for them to make that turn. Don't always be in a hurry. And when someone waits, don't be surprised. Some of us actually have sense. Thank you.
What? Allow me to laugh because, we have normalized the abnormal in Nigeria. That's why when you do the normal thing, it appears as if, you just came from heaven. Here in Nigeria, sometimes, maybe if you want to divert and you trafficate, if anything happens,
they pretend like don't see you.
Exactly. I got you if because you need to traffic it at the same time for somebody to know where you
Beg.
want to divert.
Like,
all right.
open your hand.
And we have traffic lights where the green says move, the red says stop, and the amber says get ready to move. But once you begin to see that very amber, you see everybody beginning to run. So we have normalized the abnormal. And when you not do the normal thing, of course, people think that you are crazy. But that is the reality of Nigeria. Okay, so we also have a Tony Olisambek here in the house on the analysis desk. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Frank. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, Indianambra. Good morning, Ndi Onitsha, Dondosimo. Good morning, Ndolo Akandolo Yibo. Ndi na alu ifobona na alu alu. Ndi na anyi ifobona na anya. Everyone, traders, artisans, the commuters, everyone under the reach of a voice, from different places, from place to place, from town to town, from community to community. We welcome all of you. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, and today is the 26th day in the month of February in the year 2026, and it's a very happy day for us. And we thank God it's also Thursday. And we thank God Almighty for His mercy, for His kindness, for His love, everything He has done for us and He keeps doing for us. You're welcome once again. We are going to go into some of the developing stories, just as Mr. President said. He said that he has been accused of killing oppositions in the country when he has no gun. And he's not even licensed to carry a gun. Then what did he use to kill opposition? That's President Tinubu for you. But, we will look at it from different angles, from different perspectives. You're welcome. Sit back. We are back in the sanctuary to profess the truth.
Okay, so for that very well, let me say congratulations to Victor Osimhen and Galatasaray for qualifying for the next round of Champions League, because yesterday, watching that very much, how Juventus with, down with 10 men, were able to, erase the 3-goal deficit suffered in the first leg. And they were almost cruising to the next round until that match went into extra time. And Victor Osimhen popped the goal before the second one came from Yoma. So congrats to them. At least I think since 2013 or thereabout of 14, they haven't qualified for this next round. So it's a good achievement for them, I must say. Then from there too, are you also going to see some other developments in the polity? If you go to X now, you see that Simi is trending. Likewise, Victor Osimhen and some other things. Then on the papers, you see stories about the reactions trailing the erroneous transfer of 150 million naira to the account of the son of the immediate past IGP from the Anambra State Security Board account is catching attention, I must tell you, on various social media platforms. Look at the report by Amnesty International saying that the Tiger Base in Owerri State has become a torture ground, and they're trying to liken it to Okozo SARS in those era. Then yesterday in Abuja, INEC chairman Amopito, he admitted that there was voter apathy in the area council election, and he said he's going to query all those staffs who were responsible for delayed logistics in the FCT election. He said the transporters who disappointed them, that he's going to blacklist them so that they won't be part of the electoral process anymore. Here in Anambra State, I saw yesterday that Obi Kubana's brother Ike Yebu, that he officially declared that he's going to contest for the House of Reps for Idemili North and South Federal Constituency under the umbrella of ABGA. So let's see how it's going to go, whether Ibezi will also declare under that same ABGA, and then what is going to happen to the other person who is already a sitting lawmaker there, talking about the son of Anio Okonkwo, who is occupying that position now under Labour Party. So some of these things we are going to see on the papers, but on the front page, we'll just have a couple of bold headlines that we are going to highlight once we begin to look at the paper. So we have 4 of them, and we'll tell you what the stories are saying. Okay, before we begin the headlines review, just to let you know that we are live on our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Just get to that very page, share the video, drop your comment. Don't forget to indicate your location when you want to drop your comments. You can also follow us live on our YouTube and Instagram channels, Udala Radio. That's who we are on those platforms. So we'll begin with the headlines we have on the Punch newspaper this morning. The big story there says, this declares total war on police corruption, impunity. That story can be found on page 2. It has riders. Tinubu decorates acting IG, demands new MPF. Nigerians are my bosses, this pledges. Time is up for lawless. Dirty officer says new IG. Other headline says PDP Wike Makinde camps lock horns ahead of March convention. That story is on page 12. And it's quite interesting that Wiki and Co, they're going ahead planning for a convention. And I was just wondering on what basis, because if we are going to go by what Supreme Court ruled that anything about partisanship is internal affairs of the party, these are the people who were suspended by PDP faction led by Makinde. So on what basis are they actually, going about doing what they're doing? Another headline says Tinubu to Senate amend constitution for state police now. The story is on page 2. Recapitalization, 13 banks race to meet March 31st deadline. You can see the story on page 23. Tinubu's executive order blocks 2 trillion naira NNPC fees. That story is on page 2. 2027 Kwankwaso Makinde hold closed door meeting. Page 20 of Punch newspaper. Lautech months as 6 nursing students die in road crash. On pages 4 and 5. Labor issues Friday ultimatum to FG on wage arrears. That story can be found on page 28 of the Punch newspaper. And these are the headlines.
All right, from the Punch newspaper, let's take a look at that of the Guardian. And the front page here, banner headline is INEC reviews timetable, APC consolidates as 2027 race begins on page 6. And the bigger part of this paper is covered by an advertorial. Her Excellency Senator Oluremi Tinubu is going to worry, and Tantita Security Services is saying welcome. Interesting times. Lead firmly, restore confidence. Tinubu charges Disu on page 3. Ministry affirms NAFDAC's right to enforce sachet alcohol ban on page 4. Nigeria underutilizing regional duty-free treaty, says ECOWAS on page 15. Report shows African youth rank highest in mental health crisis worldwide.
Okay.
On page 4, Franklin, African youth ranking highest in mental health crisis.
Well, our youths have lots of things that are bugging their minds. From poverty, from striving to see how they can break into politics and what have you. So plenty of things. Then coupled with some other circumstances like drug use and what have you. So plenty of things are on the minds of an African youth.
Don't you think also we place little or no emphasis on mental health in this part of the world?
The thing is, I don't know whether it is the way we have groomed ourselves or whether it's the culture here whereby each time you talk about mental health, it's seen as an anathema, it's seen as something derogatory, whereas there is this very assertion that every sane man goes mad several times in a day. Now, going mad does not mean that
you're roaming.
Exactly. But the thing is this: there are times when you have this mental lapse, either because of stress
pressure,
or what have you, not pressure and what have you not. So the thing is this: we don't actually take cognizance or recognize that the state of your mind determines the total well-being of a person, and we don't pay attention to it. So I think that's one of these issues we are having in Anambra State now. If you're looking for a mental health hospital, I tell you, you go search tire. The last time we tried to do that, we were able to find only 3. The one at Northia, then there's one we found at Udoka Housing Estate, and
there should be one in Obusi.
So I don't know how functional.
But
it is.
Exactly, the word is how functional are these facilities. Yesterday, I came across a report by a New York institution. It was published in 2014, and this research believes that pedophilia is a mental health challenge. And it will shock you how many things are considered mental health challenges outside of this part of the world, and how we pay little or no attention to things like this. Everything is either treated under the guise of evil spirit manipulation. And it's really unfortunate because it's simply leading us down a dark trail.
Exactly, I agree with you. Then over to this newspaper, we have this one that says Senate backs SEDC's 10-year $200 billion Southeast Transformation Plan, warns against abuse. There is a video attached to that is now trending. If you check a number of social media spaces, it's our watch with this very video, our video of the lawmaker or senator representing Anambra North, where he was raising some caution against some of the steps that have been taken by the Southeast Development Commission led by Mr. Mark Okoye. Maybe we'll have time to talk about it. Then I look at other headlines we have on the front page of this day newspaper. And this one says Tinubu urges Senate to tinker with 1999 Constitution to accommodate state police. That story is there on the front page of this newspaper. Okay, I'm trying to also get other headlines. This one says organized private sector analysts hail cautious MPR reduction, urge FG to the risk a business climate. That's one has some writers, but you can read it on the page 8 of this day. Then the bigger part of the front page of this day is taken over by, I can call that an editorial. It has a title that says big gains for Nigeria sports as cutting falls on second Niger Delta games. Okay, so these are the headlines we have on the front page of this newspaper.
All right, the Daily Sun is also on our desk, and the banner headline here is New IGP talks tough, takes oath of office, says no more impunity in police. Tinubu charges top cop to restore discipline, combat banditry, terrorism. Franklin, it's the same old anthem. Restore professionalism, modernize the Nigerian police force. How much of these, I call them KPIs, are achieved before an IGP's tenure elapses? They keep talking and talking, but who is actually out there in the field to make sure that these things are done? Even these police officers, sometimes, remember the one Tony told of, the one that was always during Obasanjo's regime, talking about how police officers should, but during Jonathan's regime. And then one day he was caught being the one to even give these police officers a target. We really need to have police officers who would actually walk the talk. And this story is on page 6, by the way. FCT elections, INEC chairman admits voter apathy challenges, queries staff, electoral officials, threatens to blacklist transporters involved in delay of election materials on page 6. Headship of Southern Traditional Rulers Council should be rotational. Ezaro is speaking on page 29. South governors back Tinubu's executive order on our revenue remittance on page 27. MMIA fire. Nama's air-to-ground systems wiped out. That's on page 25. Backup TARs deployed. And just beneath the nameplate of that paper, 6 worshippers kidnapped during church service in Ondo. Really sad. Our church attack. DSS arrests 6th suspect, says he swapped commander, hid in Edo for 4 years. When we were growing up in Onitsha, so many years ago, Franklin, I think it was a time that Deri, Mama, I don't know, but I shall know that back in those days, there used to be this increase in armed robbery, especially in places that they call in Onitsha. I remember then, we had family members that used to live in that part of town, and they used to go to St. John or Dakbo, I think it's a church, to sleep. In the evening, people moved to the church to go and sleep because they were afraid of being attacked in their homes by armed robbers. But today, people go to church and get kidnapped. Look at the irony.
That tells you how deep, we have sunk when it comes to the issue of insecurity. These days, there are places that you can't stay in and think that you are safe.
Exactly.
Even when you are living at certain government reserved area, you think that this should be a high profile area where such things will not happen. Everywhere is now penetratable by these very hoodlums of these very bandits or cordon criminals, because we have our security breached. These days we know about compromise, where even those security men who are working for you, they are operating from within, conniving with people who are outside, trying to make mess of the whole thing. Only find a kuni bomba maybe now. Also chugidegi chobagna no kwalose. Maybe ije back walose bad they go leave you, but this time around, they happen.
Sad.
Okay, so this is the story to have this very morning on the front pages of this very paper. So we're going to begin the analysis from the topical one. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, you are listening to The Polity on Udala Radio 4.7 FM. It's 9:35 a.m. now. My name is Franklin Ebekachi, son Chinedu Antonio Lisambeki. All of us are on this very show this very morning. And just a reminder to you, live on our Facebook page, Udala Radio 4.7 FM. Get on board on that platform. Drop your comments in response to any of the stories that you find fanciful. Okay? So, Tony, yesterday we saw the CEO, Managing Director of Southeast Development Commission, our own Mark Okoye second, where he went to defend the budget of the commission, a budget of 140 billion naira. And they said this very budget is meant to drive what he described as the commission's real takeoff. He said this is going to be the real budget they're going to run for the first time, and they'll be able to pay, they'll be able to pay salaries and be able to do some projects in 2026. In fact, he said that the target of the commission is to build the region, that is Southeast, into a $200 billion economy within 10 years. It's no longer news that that should be in the month of January. There was a summit in Enugu where, he assembled different stakeholders, including Southeast governors. They were all there. They all made beautiful speeches about how the states can work together to ensure regional development. And now it's time to walk the talk. So a budget has been presented, and from what we gathered, that budget was, it got the endorsement of the Senate yesterday. But there were concerns from some of the developments or some disclosures made during that very budget defense interaction. So, Tony, let's begin with the plan first before we get into the issues emanating from that very session that was held yesterday in Abuja.
We saw the budget defense as usual, and we also saw the Southeast Development Commission summit, the one that held in Enugu the other time, where different state governors made beautiful speeches, as we have looked into over time. Well, if you look around, you understand that Southeast is underdeveloped. Southeast needs federal presence. They need to drive investment. They need to stimulate these economic activities. That is not as we expect or as we have already in the Southeast, because when we talk about Southeast, we are talking about the 5 southeastern states: Abia, Enugu, Anambra, Ebonyi, and Imo State. And we know very well that that very commission was established to see how to promote development in these regions. We also have other regions, they have their own development commission. It was under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that he did propose that every region should have its own development commission, as we have had before now. You remember, Niger Delta Development Commission was the first, as a result of the unrest, as a result of the oil businesses or investment going on there. And as I used to say, that Development Commission was the first bill that the National Assembly vetoed the presidential imprimatur. Obasanjo never signed it. When that bill came to his desk, that was in 2000. But the Senate, or the National Assembly, under the able leadership of Chubo Karibo, vetoed whatever he was withholding, and then passed it into law. It became a regional development commission. And in 2007, Yaradua brought about Niger Delta Ministry of Niger Delta, so many other things. So that was how the issue of development commission started. And in 2023 and 2024, Tinubu sought to expand it so that every geopolitical zone will have its own development commission. We are looking at 140 billion for Southeast. That was presented by the MD and CEO of that very commission, Mark Okoye. And if you look at what they propose to do with that 140 billion, I'm seeing things like hospitals, roads, and what have you. But from the look of things, the target is always $200 billion economy, which will also help in the $1 trillion economy Mr. President is targeting. We have had beautiful visions, dreams, wishes about how Southeast would be. But if you look at the fund, for me, I look at the fund as being very poor. But it's more important how these funds will come. And we know in the Constitution how these funds, not the Constitution, I mean the law establishing these very regions, development commission, how their funds will come. For Southeast, 140 billion for 2026. But if you look elsewhere, I look at that of Northeast Development Commission, which about 246.7 billion, more than close to 100% of what Southeast Development Commission is coming up with. And if you also look at Northwest Development Commission, about 585.9 billion. If you look at it, more than 3 or 4 times that of Southeast Development Commission. So you can go on. Even if you look at Southwest Development Commission, about 498.4 billion for 2025 alone. And if you go around, you wouldn't want to talk about South because theirs will always be very high because of the oil revenue, about 776.5 billion. One would ask this question: why is that of Southeast so poor, so low?
Sorry, the comparison you're drawing, is it for 2025 or 2026?
I'm even calling 2025 of some of these regional commissions.
Okay, in comparison to what
to that of,
to
yes, because it's expected that 2026 will be higher. If their 2025 budget we are as high as this, you can imagine what their 2026 will be. That's the way I'm coming from.
So Tony, give me a second. I see the figure differences, and more or less this is dependent on the persons who have prepared this budget, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it is supposed to be on the backdrop of what they perceive to be the needs of the Southeast post-Civil War. Now, I am curious to find out. Figures have been laid out. What's the funding model like? How is the money going to come about for starters?
Well, just like I mentioned earlier on, that if you look at these regional commissions, there will be deductions. You ask how their fundings will be.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely there will be percentage deduction from statutory allocation to member states.
Okay.
If you look around like Anambra State, Abia,
Ebonyi,
Enugu, and this is the primary, a direct fixed line charge deduction from the monthly federal account allocation committee. That one is that's the statutory. For likes of Niger Delta, they'll have their 15% of total monthly statutory allocation and so many other things. Then you also have ecological fund and other deductions. 50% of the ecological fund allocated to member state is also diverted to the commission.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have federal budget appropriations. And where you have under the Ministry of Regional Development or statutory transfers. So if you look at 2025 proposal, where the commissions, that is all of them, got collectively about 2.5 trillion. And then with that, you have individual states having their own breakaway. But in all of these, you find out that the states, statutory reductions, 50% of ecological funds, and the one the government brings out for the regional commissions. So these are how their funds do come. They can also get grants, they can also get gifts, they can also get donations from donor development partners and what have you, or private sources, as the case may be. Billionaires in this state can as well give to this very commission for them to do their own work. And they also have a proportion of VAT share assigned to the commission as part of revenue funding formula. These are ways they can get their money. But I'm so much concerned about the level of the amount we have for Southeast. 140 billion. A kilometer of road, as we know, cost around 800 million naira.
So
for the South, if you divide it by 5, you know what a state gets.
Was it assigned to the Southeast, or the commission prepared the budget for it?
Exactly. This is dependent on the persons who have prepared this budget. This is what they ascertain as the need of the Southeast.
Remember, just like you said, they look at the possible ways revenue will come, and they try to make it realistic.
Is there any sort of influence possibly on this? I mean, maybe states maybe influencing the decision, because like Franklin rightly pointed out, they prepared this budget. Nobody gave this to them. So if the persons in charge of North East, or the ones you mentioned that prepared over 500 billion, this was the persons in charge. right? Deciding that we have things to do that would cost us this much. So I think the people who have prepared this are to take the blame for the paltry. That's what you're seeing it as, the paltry sum.
Yeah, I will look at it from that angle. They try to be realistic. They look at the sources of funds and where the funds will come from, and they try to tailor it in that line. But they never wanted to be overambitious. They never wanted to go out looking for money, shopping for money, looking for donor partners who would see vision in what they are doing and commit money. I thought that they would go haywire going for funds. If you look at the capital component of that very budget, 108 billion naira. Please divide 108 billion by 5. You
Give or take a little over 20 billion.
Or
A
something.
little over 22 billion. A little.
Or something like that. What will such do for any state? Is it going to? How many roads would that do compared to other regions? I'm looking at it from the angle. Yes, I understand they try to be realistic. They try to be modest. Yes, they have looked at sources of funds and they made their computations and find out that put everything together, the funds will not average or cannot go more than 140 billion or cannot even go 120 billion. They wouldn't want the budget to be deficit tinted budget. But you must be ambitious. That's what.
Okay.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Tony,
You must be ambitious.
Tony, let's get to what happened yesterday, because ever since Mark Okoye was appointed to head Africa Commission, virtually majority of persons said he was the right person to man the Africa Commission, that it was a good appointment by Mr. President. And if you had listened to him in all his speeches, all his plans, they look so wonderful. I must say that many people have commended him for what he has done.
I saw some people just calling him a Nepo kid yesterday.
Yes, but yesterday, what played out during defense of that very budget, was a contrast of what we had seen time before. Take, for instance, yesterday during that very defense, it came to the fore. It didn't come from any other person, but it came from the Mark himself, who disclosed that the commission spent 416 million in organizing that very summit they had in Enugu. Then people were not asking questions about what Kanama but they were saying, for why would you spend close to 500 million on a 4-day summit? They said it was not necessary. Then another thing that also came up yesterday was the issue of the commission spending 957 million naira out of their budget of 5 billion on conferences and promotion. And they are also asking questions. So if you are going to spend 18% of your budget on these conferences and commission, conference and promotion, and we have not seen the value, so are we going in the right direction? I'll also tell you another thing that came out yesterday. From the 2026 budget, there is a provision for 10.5 billion naira for the acquisition of drones and other security equipment for the Southeast. Then there is another 3.5 billion in that same budget on Southeast security, and it was being questioned. The likes of Senator Tony Nwoye, who represented Anambra North, he was asking, why are you making an incursion into this very area that ordinarily state governors have security votes with which they deal with this very thing? Why making incursion into this area other than focus on issues about infrastructure? But people have also come to tackle Tony Nwoye, saying he was thinking from a myopic point of view. So let's listen to Tony Nwoye, and then Tony, you come in so that we'll be able to give perspective to these views that have been canvassed on what should be the primary objective of this very commission, whether it should be about
promoting their idea or actually getting to the field to work.
Exactly, because the issue of infrastructure, it brings this kind of disparity. This person says, okay, focus on infrastructure, look at schools, revive schools, rebuild schools, do this. But from the commission point of view, they are also targeting other things like soft skills, orientation, and what have you not, because they believe that this is going to help to drive whatever vision of making the Southeast, the toast for economic development. So let's get to listen to Tony Nwoye and hear his observation during that very budget defense yesterday. From there, we continue with this very conversation.
Your presentation, what you did, I want to appeal to you and your team. Let us dwell a lot on infrastructure. It will not augur well for you to go and spend a lot of money on conferences, investment promotion, $20 million, $15 billion, all those things, some of them are not realistic. I want to say it on record. You know, I'm very close to some of you here. Let us talk of how a man in Bende, a man in Umunachi, Umudioka, a man in Ogo, a man in Agluzibo can have a field of South Illumination Commission. Not issue of $20 million, $30 million. We are not interested though. Because why I'm saying so, sir, I will not support, sir, my dear chairman. I will not support. Tomorrow they will say they spent billions on security. I saw here in your budget 3.5 billion regional security operation. If you look, the thing was not paged well. 2026 proposal, regional security 3.5 billion. And I saw another place 10.5 billion procurement of equipment, CCTV, drones, CCTV control infrastructure, 10.5 billion. Now we know that the governors, I'm not saying security is not important. Governors are chief security officers of their state. They have security funds. The federal government has a lot of money they are spending on security. So if you go to some of our schools, I don't want to play to the gallery. If you go to some of our primary schools, sir, even in Onitsha, I was born and bred in Onitsha. Let me use, for instance, our ladies' primary school Onitsha, Metropolitan Secondary School Onitsha, more than Secondary School Onitsha. I'm renovating up to 8 now. So if you find that and use consultancy or investment promotion, all those, let it not take most of your money. Let us see tangible development. So that's my case.
Okay, so you heard from Tony Moye his observation and the angle he was coming from. So was he on the right path? Perhaps he was coming from a myopic point of view, Tony.
Well, everybody's entitled to his opinion. I understand his agitation. I understand his feelings. He's so much concerned about the people of Southeast having a feeling the presence of Southeast Development Commission, not having the feeling on the internet or on the global map or on the global stage that charity, they say, begins at home. This commission is nascent in the sense that it has just arrived. And many Nigerians or many people from the Southeast don't even know that there is such a commission, that such commission does exist. Many don't even know that. Antonio Moye believes that the best way that people will feel that it does exist will be when they begin developmental projects as against the expenses they have run into. Of course, we saw the conference, and one would ask, what was the gain of that conference? It was at that very conference that the governors pledged 5 billion, and that would amount about 25 billion in support of such development commission. Governors made such a pledge, and many of them rolled out. But the question is, close to 500 million to organize such event, because if you look at both hotel accommodation, the food, the drinks, the transportation, the logistics, and everything, somebody like Tony Moye feels that that is very humongous, and the commission cannot be run that way. The point I'm making is this: we should go extra mile to bring revenue, and we will do the advertisement through our work. I understand the need for promotion. I understand the need to try to sell your potential, try to sell your credential, try to sell what you think you've got, try to drive investment, try to bring investment. We know the work of even the lobbyist companies around the world, but at the same time, once this work begin, they have a way of also selling whatever good the works represent. Yes, we must find a balance. That's the only thing I'm adding to what he has said. I'm not saying that all what the commission has done so far is not good. They must see as how they can cut down some of these promo or exhibitions, and also commit so many resources, much funds to the real work. And he said something about security, 3.5 billion. And then another one, he talked about 10 point something billions, asking, don't we have our governors driving this security infrastructure?
Isn't that a duplication in the first instance?
Security is amorphous entity. Amorphous entity is something that is everyone's business. It's not something left for anybody to do alone. But I would ask rather, how close is he to governors? Are we going to have a unified security architecture? Is he going to support what the governors are doing in their own state? Because he talked about buying drones, buying some unarmed equipment, and that costs about 10 point something billion. You asked, is he going to buy those things and give them to governors, or will these things be bought where the commission takes charge and operates these things?
Through what means? Because Tony, when Tony Moyo was speaking, it all came to my mind. Techno's, I don't know the title now, but he would always say, forget about the big things. Let's talk about the small things. And oftentimes I notice that politicians and people who are in certain positions in this country always look at the big things. Yeah, exactly. And the small things keep dilapidating. They keep suffering. And that is why the common man never gets to feel the impact of governance in this country. And that is what Tony Moye is looking at. I mean, people might be pointing fingers at Tony Moye. What have you done around your constituency? I mean, I've got fingers to point at as well, but that is off the table at this point. What is the truism? What is the true position in the things that Tony Moye has pointed out? And also, I was curious to find out when he mentioned 3 point something billion for security and then 10 point something billion for procurement of security equipment. Isn't that a duplication? I mean, I understand that some certain separations are made for clarity reasons, but I still insist that this is some sort of duplication that, allows things to be fobbed off and, budgets extended, and at the end of the day, there is little or no accountability. So first, I'm asking you, how do we start working towards getting the small things done? I mean, the Southeast Development Commission, I believe, must have done the grand assignment of moving around the Southeast to see what things are actually like and to actually see what Southeasterners actually need. And like you asked, I'm re-echoing that question, are they working hand in hand with the governors? Because if you procure equipment, Tony, do you have police officers that you're going to give? Do you have your own security officials that you're going to give? How do they want to really do this? So much so that this is not another commission that is collecting money, spending money, and being able to defend money being spent, while the people cannot actually be a testament to all of the monies being spent. Again, I am curious to find out if there is any anti-corruption mechanism that was put in from the inception of the SEDC to check the madness that the Nigerian system is known for.
Okay, so Tony, sorry, before you come in, because it will be fair for us to also, get a part of Mark Okoye,
okay. All right. No.
A reasonable extent, a reaction he made before you come, so that we'll be able to have a balance on this very conversation. So let's get to hear from Mark.
What they were saying was no retreat, no surrender.
Let's go again.
It was proud patriotism, driven by the unity that people saw at that event. What do I mean? I have a quick example, sir, and I can share that copy with everybody here. There were about 14 known IPOP members in the hall who, prior to that event, what they were saying was no retreat, no surrender. Biafra land, we only want this. The same people have done posts after attending that event for 4 days. And the response is, this is the first time I had the opportunity to contribute my own ideas to the development of Southeast Nigeria. No more Biafra land. Our role as SCDC, with your support, is not only infrastructure. We have to work on the minds of our people, orientation, get them to understand that what we are doing is for their own benefit and for their future. Second bucket is the optimistic skeptics. Some people are skeptical about a long-term plan, but they are optimistic about it, that this is the right way to go. The third is the youth. They say they like the tech idea, they like venture capital, they want fellowships, but they're waiting for it to start. The fourth bucket is the private sector and diaspora. 72 persons flew from the South America and UK to attend at their own cost. They asked us for tickets. We said no. If you want to attend, you attend. And they came and participated. So them and the private sector, they're interested, ready to invest when the opportunities exist. And of course, there were outright skeptics, the 1 or 2% who said it's a jamboree and it's just a narrative.
Okay, so we heard from Mark. That was his response. Only you are going to come in. Just give me a moment for this very commercial break. Then you are going to come in with your response. Stay with us.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
Ugwawa people, this is for you. This Thursday, something big is happening at number 5 Pope John Paul Street, Ugwawa Bosi, and you cannot afford to miss it. Bioferox International is bringing a powerful 1-week health, wealth, and empowerment experience right to your doorstep. Listen carefully. The first 50 people to arrive each day will receive a free medical checkup. Yes, absolutely free. No payment, no hidden charges. Come and check your health status and overall wellness. Discover real business opportunities. Learn how to become a Bioferox distributor and start earning. Why sit at home when you can check your health and secure your future at the same time? Date Thursday, 26th February 2026. Venue number 5 Pope John Paul Street, Ugwabo Bosi. Phone 080-6191-6601. Ugwaba, your health and your wealth matters. Remember, after 1 week, the program continues. Be there.
From the commercial city of Onitsha comes Udala Radio 104.7 FM, the voice of the region, where authentic news and entertainment meet. Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, you're listening to the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. My name is Franklin Ebeka. I'm have Chisom Chinedu and Tony Lisambeke with me on this very program, and we were talking about what played out yesterday during the budget defense by Southeast Development Commission. A lot came out, and we are at the verge of, okay, of course, sealing our conversation on this. So, Tony, you heard the rest of the mark, then you have to merge it with the question which Chisom raised before that very audio came.
Well, we heard his response. He was actually talking about that it's not about infrastructure, that they are not set up for infrastructure alone, that they must work on the psyche of the people, work in their reasoning structure for them to understand what they are doing. I will refer everyone to the co-mandate of the very commission as we have under the Southeast Development Commission Establishment Act 2024. The key provisions from the act include reconstruction and rehabilitation of infrastructure damaged during or after the Nigerian Civil War from 1967 to 1970, including roads, houses, bridges, and other public assets, and also addressing ecological and environmental challenges, severe gully erosion, flooding, and degradation common in the region. They also look in a way of a project for sustainable economic growth, like industrialization, investment attraction, job creation, regional integration, and also promoting overall development in areas like agriculture, education, health, power, water security, tourism, human capital to unlock the region's commercial potential and also reduce perceived marginalization. I didn't see anywhere in that very act that talks about working on the psyche of the people for them to understand. But I understand maybe he could also add that. For me, we have started so slowly, but I know that we are going to march much more faster. Northeast Development Commission was set up in 2017 to address the damages Boko Haram inflicted in that very region, 2017. And I've been able to look at some works, roads, infrastructure projects they have been able to put on ground. That is Northeast Development Commission. Just like I said earlier on, the first that was set up was South Development Commission. That was in the year 2000, many years back. And I did give some history behind it. Then You look at other ones like Northwest was set up almost the same time Southeast was set up. Southwest was set up almost the same time Southeast was also set up. And then North Central, almost the same time. So the key thing is we have not been able to identify major problems we have in the Southeast. This job is not kind of where you render grammar or you render public statements. The people of Southeast will want to see actionable works.
You know, Tony, when he responded, I was asking off the microphone. You had people change their minds about the whole secession thing. Has it improved the atmosphere in the Southeast? The answer is a capital no. I mean, you were set up in 2024, and in 2026, as we speak, the Southeast still has at least 70% of inactivity on Mondays. The governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chikuma Saludo, has been called all sorts of names because he decided to take the bull by the horns. And we see it gradually having effects. But are we there yet? No. So if you say that you are having sensitization programs, please tell me, show me how you took it down to the grassroots. I beg to forgive me, but I call it an elite, a circle conference and spend 460 million for it. I'm sorry, I don't find that rational enough. I don't see that being impactful. I am also from the Southeast, and I tell you, right among the people, we do not feel the impact. And also, I asked you about mechanisms put in place to check corruption.
Well, we must also acknowledge, Isom, that the commission has just begun work. And just like I was telling you off the mic, that their 2025 budget was not properly funded, and the federal government did not fund the 2025 capital component of budget. They were really not given enough fund to work.
But there's room for repurposing.
But yeah, that could
there's
be.
There's room for repurposing, and they
but
chose to spend 460 million on a conference.
You keep referring to this 460 million. Probably it was high, no doubt. But look at what it also fetched. It fetched the commitment of governors. Many of them made pledges to support the vision of the commission. But we are here to really redirect. But we are saying that, yes, we are not as fast as we could be. We are slow pacers. Let's put it that way. But we must look around into Southeast. Look at the Onitsha dry port. I had thought by now the commission will be making frantic efforts with private partners, with the imprimatur of the federal government to see what can be done at Onitsha dry port. At least seeing how we can see how batches that will be coming from Papa and some of these areas, Atlantic Ocean, down to this area. If they have begun some kind of work or some level of work to see how they can open up that, put it on the map, advertise it, preach about it, drive about it, people will know that yes, they are in town. Not new sheriff, as the governor of Edo State would say, but they will know that something more than a sheriff is in town. You look around, you find the major highways. I know this road, they cost so much money. For you to put up 2 double lane from any state to another state will cost more than 140 billion, more than the budget they are talking about. But there are little things you can also look into. If you can start from where your strength can carry you. Hospitals, you can make it as a matter of fact to see if you can cite two big specialist hospitals in any part of the Southeast. You may not cite in all the part of the Southeast. Specialist hospitals, at least let it be something known. Let it be something that is recognizable.
Okay.
There are things that even with there are little things you can do to show that you're actually in town to work. So when you are telling somebody you need this, you'll be pointing to the ones you've done. You can also go for money shopping. There are billionaires in Southeast. Locate where they exist, where they live, bring them to key into this, track them. We have people in the diasporic community. take whatever. You may not wait for money that will come from the governors. You may not wait for the money that will come from the Federation Accounts Committee, Allocation Committee. You can take this battle, take it to the diasporic community. And every penny spent, you must also show what it has fetched. You have to coordinate these things. People want to see projects. People want to see infrastructure. Begin in the little way you can. You cannot pigeonhole yourself. It's not about having these conferences. They will not in any way change the tide. Expectations are high.
Okay.
Time is going.
All right. For that very, of course, we know that in that very service commission, there are about 16 board members, and each of the board members, has an area of special interest and what have you not. Talking about their 2025 budget, they received only 5 billion from what they were, or rather from what they budgeted. And I also reading, going through his speech, he talked about, getting enough from Mr. President for them to go and source for funds from different sources so that they'll be able to carry the project. Now, that has been noted. Now, I want us to now cross over to the mandate that Mr. President gave to the acting IGP yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday, he was decorated as the acting IGP, and the President gave me a mandate. In fact, he spoke on how he arrived at the choice of, Olatunji Dusi as the acting IGP, and he gave me a mandate. At the end of the day, the IGP also responded, talking about what he aims to achieve. Perhaps let's hear from Mr. President, then we can now come with the analysis.
IGP Tunji Disu, your declaration today is not simply a conferment of rank, but a solemn charge to serve Nigeria with courage, integrity, and unwavering commitment to the Constitution. I took this decision for you to assume this responsibility because I know your record. I believe in dedication that you've exhibited while you were in Lagos and I was the governor of Lagos State. And now you assume this responsibility at a defining moment for our nation's security, and expect you to strengthen the discipline, enhance interagency collaboration, and restore public confidence in Nigerian police. Lead firmly but fairly, demand professionalism at every level, and ensure that safety of lives and property remains our highest priority. It's a daunting challenge. I know you can do it. You have my full support as you have to advance the security pillars of a new hope agenda. You are a straightforward individual, committed and respected. You have sufficient amount of discipline. And you can draw from experience of who had been there before you.
Okay, so we have to take it at this very point in time. And if you look at the history, you know that Alberto Kuna and Disu, they work hand in hand. In fact, at some point in time, they work together. And Mr. President even highlighted that. At the end of the day, the new IGP, made some promise, said he's going to ensure professional and accountable police. So, to looking at the demands from Mr. President and what the new IGP said, how feasible or how possible are these things to be achieved, looking at Nigerian environment?
Well, I always say talk is cheap. I don't like beautiful speeches. Don't serve me one. What I like is beautiful actions. It's better that very day you appointed, you greet everyone who made it possible, and also thank God Almighty first. Thank those who made it possible, and possibly thank Nigerians and ask for everybody's cooperation, and end the speech by saying, let's go to work. Let's do what? Let's go to work. Because if you look at what the new IGP said yesterday, he has also given us high hope. Exactly what Tafa Balogun did when he was announced as the new Inspector General of Police. He gave us high hope. When he took over from Muslim Smith, until he was disgraced out of office before Sunday Hindu took over from him, he said that toll collecting by the police will stop. Waiting you carry, I think that's the name is being called that time. Police will stop you and say, waiting you carry. He said he will fight corruption in the police force. But it was later discovered it was the same Tafa Balogun that was sending these policemen for toll collection, giving them target. You have to pay money for you to get a favorable posting area for commissioners of police. And commissioners are giving target. They trickle that target down to the DPOs for posting. Because for you to get better posting, you have to see how you can grease the palm of the commissioner. And the DPOs will send his boys on the road for this collection. I've met many of them that said they were given target, but they will not tell you who gives them. It is systemic and endemic corruption. And yesterday when he was speaking, he said that there will be zero tolerance for corruption and end of police impunity. That's what he said yesterday. That the area of, or the era of impunity is over. That there will be zero corruption. That's what he promised. That police officers must know that citizens are their boss. That Nigerians are their boss. How are you going to effect that? He has also promised to improve the welfare and motivation of officers. Like he said, that I will take the welfare of my men into consideration. Not just taking such into consideration if you are to make one of the best species, that I'm going to act on the welfare of my men, not considering anything. And he talked about human rights, that there must be strict adherence to human rights and professionalism. That because you have known many times that majority of Nigerian police officers are not professional. They are not. We saw a video of a police officer who intercepted would I say couple or partners. They came to Nigeria for tourism. They were moving with their vehicle, right-handed. This policeman intercepted them and started telling the officer, where are you coming from? Where are you going? What waiting you carry? And stuff like that. And at the end of the day, ended up saying, I would like the guy to impregnate you. Have baby for the guy. Many of you did not see the video. Or you saw the video. You find out that this is all totally unprofessional conduct. A white man in your country demanding for visa, are you immigration? And not just that, you say that you ask them that I want to buy alcohol for you. Let's go to beer parlor. That is unprofessional conduct. But that's by the way. I don't want to talk more about that because these are things we see on our highways. He talks about issue of stronger internal discipline and accountability. When will the police force start being accountable to escort service they render? Because many companies call them for escort, and banks and all that monies are paid into the account. What do they use it for? Does anyone audit this money or did these funds and find out what these funds are being used? The other services they render. Who account for this money? That is one of the things we are talking about. And there is zero public trust on our officers. Many Nigerians don't even cooperate with them because they don't trust them. They don't believe in them. They see them as enemies. How do you rebuild that relationship? And how do you also sustain that fight against insecurity? These are some of the things he promised yesterday. But just like Franklin, you pointed out, he was the first aide-de-camp to Governor Bola Ahmed Tinubu when he was sworn in as the governor of Lagos State. He was first aide-de-camp. He was then ASP. And at that point, after becoming aide de camp, he was transferred to other places. But Ebetokun was the CSO, the chief security officer to Tinubu as a governor. Olatunji had worked before Ebetokun worked for Tinubu. You know, Ebetokun is from Ogun State, and then Olatunji is from Lagos State. So if you look around, Mr. President was reminding him of the, would I say, the good old days. He has seen his professionalism. But we know very well that the new IGP of police is also target-minded, because we saw how he led team of policemen to see to the arrest of, he was the one that his team arrested a van. I remember that was sometime around 2021 when he was appointed the head of the police intelligence response team. IRT, he took over from Abba Kyari, where he led a high-profile operation, which included the capture of that Onwudumeme Vance. As a commissioner of police in River State, he dismantled violent court groups and armed robbery gangs. I remember he was the one that led to the arrest of Gift Opera, aka Tubaba, and even David Zuma, aka General Odiereke. We know the Gift Opera, one of the most dreadful cultists in River State. As a commissioner of police in FCT, we saw how he led anti-kidnapping and banditry clearance operation in forest. Okay. And he was leading from the front. We know some good things about him.
Just a burden. If you're going to look at the CV of Desu, it's quite impressive, and he has a lot of achievement to his credit. But when it comes to doing the job in Nigeria, you know, doing the job in Nigeria has its own peculiarities. Exactly. Because Mr. President said, you have my support, you have my backing, go and do this. So when the chips are down, we hope the word is going to stand. Because if we are going to get the police force to begin to become accountable and at the same time become responsible and professional, you must step on toes.
Definitely. You must step on toes, and if you do not, you cannot achieve anything. It's a raw opportunity for him. If I were him, somebody preparing for retirement sometime in 2 months' time. I think we are in February. Yeah, after February, April would have been his retirement month. Before the incident that played out, he has positioned himself and he has conditioned his mind to retirement. What he will do with his life? A rare opportunity from nowhere came that would also lead to retirement of over 29 senior police officers. Entire DIG college, they will all retire because of him. And also those who were his senior as AIG. When was he appointed AIG? Was it not last year? He's just one of the younger AIGs based on ranking. I'm not talking about enlistment. I explained this since yesterday. So for him, when Nigerians will begin to trust professionalism in police is when they see that the police has stopped collecting money on the road. It is one of the greatest that Nigerians will say, oh, these people have changed. And where they stop making arrests and also asking you, demanding a high sum of money, there are times they will invade their home without search warrant and do a lot of things, and by the time they dump you in a cell, they ask you to bring 250,000.
Like what is trending with the Tiger Base.
Exactly. That is when Nigerians will start to take them serious and see them as working for them.
Speaking about Tiger Base, Tony, I mean, this is still a police conversation. This is not the first time that Tiger Base is coming up in the news for issues like this, but we have not even heard of any decisive investigation into allegations against Tiger Base or any punishment. So I am curious to find out if under DISU we are going to be having the force actually investigated for impunity, where reports come in, and how would the people know that, you know, this investigation is ongoing so as to build trust in the people? So are we going to be having disciplinary proceedings made public? Also, I am curious to find out, you know, it's been about what the police will do, what the police will do. What will we do as a nation for men in black? Because unfortunately, you see how they live, Tony. When you see some of these men, you cannot help but pity them. So, what are we going to be doing differently for them this time around under DISU?
Well, the police work itself, you need to pity them. There's no doubt. And he talked about the welfare of his men. And there's little he can do about it. because we know many of them, they have families. They have. And when you pay a police officer 200,000, 250,000, you want him to be on duty at all time, you will ask you, what would that 250,000 do? Many of them, they pay house rent, they pay security levy. Even as a police officer, they pay security levy, they pay sanitation levy, they also pay all sorts of levy. They take care of their children's school fees. They also take care of their feeding. They also take care of their hospital bills. If you look at all these bills, you find out that they will not in any way spend anything less than 600,000 in a month, and you're paying the person 250,000. Let's assume that the wife does something and brings 150,000. 250 plus 150, that will give you around 400,000. But you find out that the work or there's still gap. And many of them, I think the first thing we start to do is they know the corrupt ones among them. Every CP, AIG, or even DIG, they know the corrupt ones amongst them. Those that live flamboyant life, those that extort. You don't need to wait for Police Service Commission. There are petitions written against some of the officers. You have to act on them and give them a sixth door in line with the Police Service Commission, because once you're an officer, you can only be disciplined by Police Service Commission, but based on recommendations of the Inspector General of Police, as we have. But the key thing is, you can start to cleanse the urgent table. The rot is too much. It's endemic. It's systemic. In fact, the rot is in the DNA of the police structure.
Okay.
What can he do within this? In fact, he needs cooperation. He needs support. But Nigerians will support him when they see the first sign. For yes, is somebody we can support. You see the support coming. And that's how you can sustain it. Definitely make it friendly. Make it open. And we are told that he's very open and friendly, that he takes call, he reads text message, but this time around that more calls will come, more text messages will come. There's limit to what you can read or the calls you can take. But
okay. So let's see how we will be able to replicate what he did when he was Lagos across Nigeria. This time that he has the mantle to lead the Nigerian police force. So let's go for this very commercial break. Once we return, we binge on the next thing and then open the phone lines for you to join this very conversation. So get ready for the interactions.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread. For your family breakfast, Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. Mama, papa, they like Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. Even children, they like Wendy's bread. Oh, Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread. You get it better, tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread. Wendy's your choma. Wendy's bread.
Wendy's bread, tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, 2nd Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside CPS, Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Okay, you are listening to the Polity, and it's now 10:30 a.m. My name is Franklin Bekana, Tony Lisambiki, and Chison Chinedu. All of us are together on today's conversation. Just to draw this very information before we get to binge on the next thing and open the phone lines. Of course, if you look at that very budget presented by the Southeast Development Commission that was yesterday, just to give you key highlights of the content, Community Social Development Program is going to cost 3.3 billion. Southeast Venture Capital Fund 3.5 billion. Youth Entrepreneurship Program 2.5 billion. Grassroots Recreation Infrastructure 7 billion. Headquarters and zonal offices set up 2.9 billion. Operational vehicles 4.1 billion. climate, sustainability, and green economy, 500 million. Regional security program, 2.5 billion. M.I. Okpara fellowship, leadership development, 660 million naira. So these are the highlights in that very budget of 140 billion naira. So Tony, yesterday, Mr. President, he had a dinner, or should I call it a breakfast with governors, and he told them, not governors this time around, with senators, and he told them, go and see how quick you can do things. Amend the 1999 Constitution for us to have state police. It seems like he is in an urgent mood to get this thing done. But looking at the level we are in when you talk about the amendment of 1999 Constitution, can we still accommodate this and make it happen in a couple of months?
We can. He can also introduce an executive bill for such amendment. If he is in such a hurry or in that mood, he can. Once executive bill arrives at the National Assembly, is treated with urgency, with dedication, acceleration. But I understand that we have generally constitution amendments going on already. He would want them to incorporate it. I remember this is not the first time. I recall that during the time Ekpere Madu chaired the Constitutional Amendments Committee of the National Assembly, he amended, or their committee amended this part, but Buhari did not sign it. Of course, Buhari said he never wanted it. And the pressure is coming because of the report by Rep. Riley Moore, the report I have submitted to the United States President. And we talked about the recommendations they made. And we talked also about what they put down on that very report. Systematic slaughter, genocidal violence, persecution of Christians. That's most of the things packaged in that report. So, Mr. President, having seen it all, and I have always said, policing is local. Policing, we have a very amorphous federal system, and we have just one federal policing system, and we think we have security. How do you think it's possible? It's not possible. It's never going to be possible. In fact, it is not workable. It's not doable. Having such system, diverse system, with one federal controlled policing system, you think you're going to get results? It's not going to work.
Somebody's arguing that our issue might not just be this very drive to have state police. He said that we have too many weapons in the hands of too many people. That we might get this very state police, it might become dysfunctional and counterproductive.
That is theory. We have people that theorize. That's what we do. We don't implement anything. We will be in our dream and see how things will not work and have this laid back attitude because we have had this vision that is not going to work, it's going to be dysfunctional. And you have countries like America that even have police down to, in fact, what is left is for churches to have their own recognized policing system. We've seen where these things work. And we know we have our own peculiarities, there's no doubt. There are many ungoverned spaces. There is no police in my hometown, not even one. In all the neighboring hometowns, no police, no presence. We have many spaces, and you want to tell me that crime will not thrive in those areas. Crime thrives when there is no resistance of any sort. You have many ungoverned spaces, and we think, it's going to let there be presence first. And when it does not work, we don't find why it's not working and try to do something to make it to work.
Okay, so let's open the phone lines now. Before then, we have to drop this very information. And the information has it that the wife of late Justice Azoka, who represented Onitsha North 1 constituency, has left ADC to join ABGA.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday. And I was asking this question, what happened to Tony Woye's promise? Tony Woye promised to make her his legislative aide. In fact, we saw the appointment letter bandied on social media. What happened? Was it more you look, the less you see? And I also asked the Ebube Monster promise, what happened?
Okay, so
there are so many promises.
And the information is this. We saw this yesterday, and it's also getting attention. A post made on X by somebody who threatened P2B. He said, "You are going to go to one of the states in the south for
He mentioned Rivers.
Exactly. And okay, let me read what he said.
Exactly, just read it.
The name bears Engineer Tom Steve. Then the Twitter handle is Steve Tom 788. He says we want to be against his entrance into Edo State, but he mistook our resolves to his obedience online noise. Thank his star he survived this one. I learned he's going to my river state, no wahala. Now my men go handle that one, and then no go. And then no they miss target. Speak no peace to Oe. So I'm not going to call the name, and wish him no long life, for he is destined to whatever it means. Now
this should not be given attention in the first instance. Of course, that should be the discreet operation to get a person arrested and then get a person treated as a criminal.
Exactly.
That's what it should be.
That's not the only attention it should get.
It should not be given attention of any sort.
So it's for the police to look inwards and get it very present. So let's open the phone lines now. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6697. Please, when you call in, go direct to the point, make your point, drop your call. We're going to appreciate that better if you help us to have this work coordinated. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My chief speaker, Tony Olisa.
You're welcome.
My name is Honorable Mayor Okulolo Tendo. Can I go on?
Yes, you go on. You have 1 minute.
Yes, let me just say that Tony Olisa has been vindicated. Kudos to him. Because I knew for over 2 years now, for more than that, Tony has been crying about state police. In as much as security in this country or any state or any village is concerned. And I could remember that I supported him one of those days and said, I personally, I know my kindred state people, I know my people in the village. Because if they are in police and if somebody commits crime, they know him and they can be easily apprehended. So I think Trump and Netanyahu is doing a great job in the world, because I knew quite well they are working in our president up. Then the new police IG, far from his words yesterday after he was decorated, I listened to him. It is the best of the same feather, because like we don't need West. We don't need West. We need action. And I believe from the analysis I have heard about him, he has done well. But now that he has ascended in that way, I don't know if he is to get it right. So,
all right, thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
My name is Samuel from Asaba.
Okay, Mr. Samuel, please take note. You have 1 minute. Go on.
Okay. Please, I heard you. Nobody. You see, that guy, I heard you say that that guy that station issued that threat against P2B should be arrested. By which police? Is it the police that are so rotten, so corrupt? I don't see them doing anything. My own advice for my beloved brother, Oji, is to be very, very careful. Honestly speaking, I know he is the only target now. But in as much as I'm praying for him that God will continue to protect him, you should be very, very careful. Because these people, they all know that P2B is the only person now, that the whole youth in the country, in fact, the entire everybody is looking at as the only person that is very, very, that has the masses in mind, and they don't want him to come close. But God will deal with him anyway. He should be very careful. That is the only thing I have to say.
All right.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you for joining, and thank you for making your point. Good morning. Hello.
Someone.
Hello.
Okay, thank you. Let me speak.
Okay.
I think
may we get your name first?
Can you hear me?
Let's hear your name first.
Okay, my name is Basil. We're calling you from Onitsha.
Go on, Mr. Brazil.
Okay. Let me speak on the issue of defense. The Southeast Development Commission defense. I think this is another way of embezzlement. Because when I see this defense, I can see that they have a lot of things hiding. They're hiding a lot of things. Because talking about issue of security, they are not the governor of the state. Talking of issue of development of the human mind, they are not even in that area. So it's just a way of making the money useless. And this is a way of...
Are you still there? Are you still there? Okay. I think you have to try to call back because that line, since it will we'll be having this very up and down with that very line. So let's see who we have next. 0803 221 6973 or 0803 827 6694. You can also go to our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Drop your comment on that very page. Don't forget that you have to include your location so that we'll be able to get that properly. Okay. Hello. Okay, try again. Hello. Hello. Good morning.
Chief Dr. Dim Tony Obunya. Good morning.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Good
morning, go.
I am Great Dim. Cruising the airwaves from us tomorrow.
Okay.
Tony, let me tell you. State police, as Nigeria is contemplating, cannot work in this country. Because the rightful things are not yet done. America was so complex, like Nigeria, had an issue when America was formed. The founders of America saw the complex nature of America and they thought it wise to regionalize America. Each state in America has its own state police. That was what they envisaged as the issue. To avoid the complex nature of America, America was regionalized. Without Nigeria being regionalized, any regional or state police will not work. Whenever you talk about America, the leaders and the framers or founders of America, they were so visionary. They know what America was going to be. Hence, they formed it on the basis that each state was to be free. For Nigeria to have their own state police work, first and foremost, it will be on the platform of regional government. Regional government will make every region to tender for its well-being.
Okay.
As Nigeria is now, any contemplation of a regional or state police cannot work.
Okay.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for joining this very program. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Welcome on board.
Hello, can you hear me? Good morning.
Yes, we can hear you. Good morning.
Ambassador Moses reaching you from Awada.
Go on, sir.
On the issue of corruption in the police system, I heard Dr. Tony. It's like he's trying to sympathize with the police people. Myself, I'm a man already. I am not married. With 2 kids and my wife. Do I even have something doing not to talk of any up to 250,000 naira? Yes, I'm living fine. I'm not involved in corruption. I don't extort anybody. I don't do pickpocket. Yes, I'm a graduate, not doing anything. If someone is being paid 250,000 naira, can that person manage his family? And the difference of corruption, even you people that are suffering there, getting news, trying to let us know what is happening, how much are you being paid? Would that make you to be involved in corruption? It is not an excuse to begin to talk about this police and this. just like you rightly said, that corruption is in their system. These people is like police. Police work is like these people are caught. It's that they are caught from heaven, that they can never do good. So it's not a matter of being paid 250,000. Even if they are paid 2 million naira, that corruption is already there. So that's my take there. I'm not sympathizing with them. I hate them with passion.
Okay. That'll be enough. But of course, I need to ask you that you need to tone your language. Of course, there are certain things that if you want to talk about it, we should mind enough. Like, good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning. Your name?
I am Badmos from Newi.
Mr. Badmos, go on.
Good. You people debated much on the amount. Those that organize.
Could you please speak up? Your voice is very low.
Those that organize the so-called Southeast Development Summit, 460 million. I don't think the money is that much, because from that money they will mobilize, they will pay the transport, the lodging accommodation, the hotel, and newspaper, and also all the allowances. So the 460 million is not that too much for that conference, because those that are going there, some will go there with their girlfriends, some will go with their wives, some will go with their brothers and family members. So the 460 million to me is not that much, because I knew some House of Assembly members and some sons and daughters of politicians in this country that are using close to 500 million conduct
Summarize.
giving iPhones and the latest Samsung gadgets to anybody that attend their birthday. So for them to use 460 million to discuss about Southeast, it is not too much. Then finally,
thank you, Mr. Badmos. Thank you. We appreciate. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your input. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, my speaker.
Your name?
Yeah, my name is Honorable Chimubu. My call from my group.
You're welcome. Go on, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Let me ask something here. Concerning the issue of appointing the inspector of police in Nigeria. But I have never heard about the screening of that police.
Okay, sorry, hold on, please. Hold on a bit. Can you do this very favor? Walk away from your radio set.
Okay, do you hear me now?
Okay,
yeah.
Go on.
I talk about the screening of this police, because all these things that the president said and what the inspector police said is just political motivation. We have heard about them many years, but nothing happened. So, is it the right for the president to say, I supported him, and the police inspector was not even screened by the Senate, even appointed by the president? And is it lawful to be doing that way? I thought that the senator was supposed to screen the police inspector before he now be decorated.
Okay.
I don't understand how things are not just going here in Nigeria. Is it the way going? And concerning the issue of P2B, P2B know that very well that in Nigeria we have insecurity everywhere. And we find out that we have political, all these political sabotage everywhere. And we are even ABC too, have not yet put their hands in order. So I don't know how the reason why P2B is going from one state to another without having police security, because in the days past we heard about Ikemba funds, the funds. All these things were there before. But the reason is that in Nigeria today we are everywhere we have insecurity everywhere. And the people, not that I'm blaming people, but he has to know more than us before he can go to do so. Forget about what the governor said, but he's supposed to know by himself.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I want to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, certainly, by the time we are trying to summarize, of course, we're going to look at it. The question he raised regarding, the appointment. I know that there are processes, like you even need to get the buy-in of police council that needs to advise him, gets to the Senate for screening. So let's get to our Facebook page.
All right, our handle is Udala Radio 104.7 FM on Facebook, and I would start with your comment. Dan says, Daniel Lubuna from Awada, I don't know the reason why all these political appointees are always promising things they know fully well they will never implement. I heard all the promises. I think you mean to say you heard all the promises that the new IGP made after the decoration he received from the president, and I laughed because you and I know that no institution is independent in Nigeria. Christopher Musa, the Ministry of Defense, made the same promises, but I cannot calculate the number of people that have been abducted since he assumed office. So let them hold that promise, because the power and control is with the executive. So they are just there for formalities. ASJP says the huge amount of money budgeted for only INEC is offensive. And Anoms Emi says Southeast Development Commission to me is looking like a political settlement for some few if they can't see what the region is in dire need of. I could remember one lawmaker from Anambra was busy going from one station to the other, blowing his trumpet how he was able to get the Onitsha dry seaport coming on board. And up to now, I have not seen any ship docked. And he goes on to say that the Southeast governors should outline what they need, because it will serve as a guide in the next budget preparation of the commission. You mean for 2027? Because that of 2026 has already been defended. All right, I'm going to take yours now. Okoyangolika, Anthony Umera, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Nzekwe Celestine says that the terrifying thing is that Mr. President is making his appointment based on paddy thing, and it's a danger signal for our democracy. Come to think of it, from Lagbaja to Disu, where is the federal character this principle? Okay, and Stephen Okezie says, my question, he's actually texting from Germany. My question is, will all the DIGs who by age and enlistment are not due for retirement be forced to retire, even if they wish to work under the new IG? Tony, are they going to be forced to retire even if they wish to stay back? Gregory Thaddeus, I didn't see the new IGP doing anything different, because we cannot be looking for a healthy fit inside a rotten mouth. Warrior Chikwadurum, the issue of state police will not work because Mr. President is only using it as a tool to campaign for his forthcoming election. And Nigeria higher class politicians will be using it as a platform of intimidation, you mean to say, and harassment for low class politicians and the poorer masses as well. You're commenting from Odapu Onitsha, and that's the much we can take.
Certainly, let's begin to respond to the questions.
Does anyone who still wants to work, does the person have to resign?
Well, we have a culture, we have a tradition. And mostly, when you talk about military police, they have this tradition of seniority and the idea of taking commands from somebody who is your junior. How does it look like? How does it sound like? But in any case, they are not more like automatically or legally forced to retire solely because of a new IGP was appointed. But it's just a long-standing tradition and administrative practice in Nigerian police force. It's administrative practice, is a tradition. In fact, if you look at the Nigerian Police Act 2020, even the Public Service Rule or the 1999 Constitution, it did not in any way endorse that they will be compulsorily retired. I understand there is a litigation going on currently as far as this is concerned. So it's a matter of fact where some people have gone to court to challenge this tradition, this administrative practice. Just like I said, it's not automatic, it's not legally forced on them, but they'll be given time. Sometimes they'll be written to proceed on retirement in a more polite way. It's more like adversarial. Please proceed on retirement. Sometimes they do bow to it. They will be given time. They will not be pushed or forced. As I said, it's a tradition, it's administrative practice, but it's not legally enforceable. I have said that.
Somebody asked about process of vetting the appointment of the IGP.
If you go by provisions of the Constitution, Section 215, and also by the virtue of Section 153 of the Constitution that establishes the Nigerian Police Council as one of the federal executive bodies, these things are explicit. By law, when an IG either resigns or retires, he hands over to the most senior. Then the president convenes the Council of Police meeting. You remember the members of the council? The president is the chairman, with the 36 state governors as members, with the chairman of the Police Service Commission, even with the Inspector General of Police. These are members of the Police Council. And Mr. President, we ask for input, especially nominees. Who do we consider? The council will reach up to some people they feel that they can really do what the IGP of a police can do. But the president takes final decision and then the council approves. That's the way it should be. But you know, since Obasanjo took over, Obasanjo brought this practice. There's no doubt. I don't know, this practice was also seen during the 1979 period, during our Second Republic. It's just a practice where the president makes a decision, then convenes the meeting for endorsement. The meeting is more like endorsing whom Mr. President has chosen. But ordinarily, the meeting should be to consider nominee. That's the way it should be. If you look at the provision of 215 and 153, as I mentioned, it should be to consider a nominee. But it's a tradition that started way back in Second Republic. Obasanjo continued it in the Fourth Republic. And it has gone from Obasanjo to every president has done the same thing. So it's not new. So what that meeting does now is to endorse the nominee of Mr. President. And the coronation has also taken place, even when the council has not sat.
Tony, most times when we have issue of security, and governors will tell you that the issue of security is not within their control, that is the federal thing, blah, 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 blah. But all the governors are members of police council.
Of course.
And by the virtue of what the 1999 Constitution states is this, they can advise Mr. President. Now, that advisory role, sometimes when it comes into conversation, you begin to hear people argue that Mr. President can still do without them, since it's just an advisory role and their inputs are not incumbent on the president for him to go by it.
Well, advice remains an advice, but follow the procedure first. The procedure says convene such meeting. Even if he does not take the advice, but nominees will be considered. If it fails to take the advice, it can go on. Because if you advise me over something, it is not incumbent on me to take your advice. I can decide not to take your advice.
But you said yesterday that anybody who doesn't take your advice is not your friend.
That's what I said. But it's not incumbent on you that you must take my advice. But if you don't take my advice, you are not my friend.
Okay.
That's what I said. So the issue is, let's follow the procedure. And nobody has got to challenge the practice inherited right from Second Republic to date. Nobody has challenged that. Let's follow the procedure. Let's follow the right channel.
Because the people who are supposed to be the ones who have the local standing, they seem to have become comfortable.
The governors are comfortable with it. So what do you expect?
All right. So, Chisom.
All right. The only thing I have to say today is that no two politicians are permanent enemies. I guess the defection or the decamping of Justice Azuka's wife to APGA, the things that we have said during that election should teach you that. So as a political jobber, busy throwing stones for politicians, I hope you learn your lesson, or maybe not this time around. See you tomorrow.
I guess I will say tomorrow. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Chisom, and thank you, everyone who listened. Tomorrow, we are going to be here to bring you another version of this very program. By 11, it's going to be music, old school. And then by 12, we're going to bring you news at noon before Cherry Box by 12:30. Thank you for listening. My name is Frank Nipka. Good morning.
A city of movement. A city of trade. A city of heritage. From the rays of the sun to the radiant glow of the River Niger. From the echoes of Ose Market to the silent prayers rising from the basilica. This city beats like a drum, loud, proud, and unyielding. And the drum finds its rhythm right here on Udala Radio, 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Adobe no go, nene no de daño.